Time to take it easy is over. Time now to put the foot on the pedal. That's because the round-robin matches are done. Now are the knockout games. But don't tell England that. They've been playing knockout games even in their last few round-robin games. That's because they had to win every game to qualify for the semi-final. But now that they've qualified for the semi-finals, they go in as the slight favorite versus Australia. That's not my opinion. That's what the bookmakers are saying. But it's not my opinion or the bookmakers' opinion that counts. We're building up to the second semi-final. The opinion that really counts is that of the two experts that join us in Graeme Swann and Brad Hodge. Graeme, I'll start with you. I know you never need a second invitation to sledge an Aussie. So we've got Brad Hodge with us. The stage is yours. Your time starts now.
Oh, there's no need for sledging. The best team is going to win on the day. England played Australia earlier in the tournament. They were toothless. They didn't have Jason Roy. Jason Roy's back. England are playing with confidence again. This will be a walk in the park.
All right, sledging aside, let's take a look at how these two teams stack up against each other. We're taking a look at their overall record, whether it is in World Cup or just in one-day international, and how is it that Australia has done versus England. If you take a look at the last few games, you'll realize in the last 10 ODIs, England have won 8 and Australia only 2. So clear edge there for the English team. But then if you also see semi-finals in particular, that's where you realize that it's Australia that really comes through because of their pedigree. They've played plenty of semi-finals, 7 semi-finals there, and they won 6 out of those. So just goes on to tell you that when it comes to a big stage, then Australia tend to do rather well. Fair assessment, Brad?
Absolute spot on. I think that Australia will call on all their resources from their past success and you know, try and get at all their learnings from all their history of success the Australians have had against the English in particular, and try and see if they can get on the pitch at Edgbaston on Thursday. Okay,
let's now quickly dive into the playing 11s. We asked Brad Hodge to pick his playing 11. He'd have to make one change because Khwaja, of course, is ruled out for this particular encounter. So Brad Hodge has got Peter Handscomb in. Were you also, I don't know whether Australia could even consider that, but is there something that the Australian camp would be thinking? Even someone like a Wade, can he jump over Handscomb and also make it to the 11?
Look, he could possibly. On form, yes, he may well do so. Matthew Wade's been in tremendous form, but no one can also take away the form of Peter Handscomb, who had a particularly good series against India in their home soil, which, you know, sort of was the start of the revamp of Australia's resurgence in one-day cricket, and he played a pivotal role, especially against spin. We've seen that spin's played a big part, you know, in these games later on in the tournament. So for me, Handscomb just gets the nod. There is still an issue with Marcus Stoinis. Yep. So, you know, he could be a late inclusion. You just never know.
All right, that's a valid point there. Because it's such a big game, you really can't go with, 10.5 men versus the 11 of England. So, as Brad says there, if only 100% fit, he would like to see Stoinis in the playing 11. Okay, talking about playing 11s, let's quickly take a look at England's playing 11. We asked Graeme Swann to pick his 11 for England, and he's made no changes to the team that played those last 2 very crucial games. So, he's gone with the same squad. But surprise, surprise, and the biggest surprise there, Swanee, is that there is no Moeen Ali. Explain that.
I'd always have Moeen Ali if I could, but what I think is the England team, the 11 who've played the last 2 games, were so confident, have played with such verve and vigour that I do not want to change that team. They're very confident. They destroyed New Zealand, they destroyed India, they're ready for Australia, they're ready for a World Cup final.
Right, everyone's talking about the England batting lineup, but let's take a look at how the Australian batting lineup has performed, and there's a clear difference there. If you were to see, the openers have been fighting for them. That's the key to the Australian team's success. So Warner and Finch, take a look at their average, really stand out there. And then you've got someone like Carey coming in down the order who's averaging 65. But apart from that, yes, you had Khwaja with 35, but now he's ruled out. So the middle order for Australia, not quite firing. So that seems to be a problem area for Australia at the moment. But what does this do to their batting lineup? As I mentioned, that Khwaja is out. Now, do you send Stephen Smith to number 3 position? If that was to happen, let's take a look at Stephen Smith's record as compared to number 3 versus number 4 that he's been batting in the World Cup. Again, a big difference. Now, number 3 is clearly a position that he enjoys, as the stat seems to suggest there, with an average of 52. I'll take that question to you, Brad. I mean, I know it's a big problem. Khwaja, the kind of form that he was showing, Australia would have loved to have had him. But now that he's out, in a way, there's some sort of a positive lining to that with Steve Smith going to number 3.
Yeah, there is. I mean, with those numbers, they clearly show the skill sets that Steve Smith possesses. But I actually like him at number 4. He's probably the smartest cricketer that we have in our lineup, and he's able to control the game and read the play pretty well. And he's also easily our best player of spin. Now, with Handscomb coming in, he's probably equally of the talent of Steve Smith against spin, but Smith's obviously far superior, against cricket bowling. So it actually turns out really well. It's still a great top 4 for Australia. With Steve Smith certainly moving up the order. We just need a fraction more out of Maxwell, a fraction more out of Stoinis. As you mentioned, Alex Carey's been phenomenal. So there is a long depth in that batting. Warner and Finch have been outstanding. If we can just get those, little firepower in the middle to get going, then anything's possible again.
The English openers have been doing rather well, just as the Australian openers have, especially Jason Roy. And I remember the games that he missed out, England really faltered at those particular stages when Jason Roy wasn't part of the team. But ever since he's come back into the team, they're showing the form of old. Let's take a look at some of the numbers for Jason Roy. And this is whenever he scores a 50, the percentage for England winning goes at 84.6. Now remember, in 26 matches, whenever he's got a 50, 84.6% is the winning percentage. In 2019, that goes to 100%. That's how crucial Jason Roy has been. Swanny, everyone's going to talk about that Australia versus England game in the group stages, how Australia came out on tops on that particular occasion. But the reminder there was no Jason Roy. Now that Jason Roy is back, do you think the equation completely changes?
It doesn't surprise me, because Jason Roy, it's the method that he goes about his batting that permeates through the team. He's got such confidence, he goes for his shots, he's so brave that encourages the rest of the team to do the same. It's no surprise to me that when Jason Roy plays and scores runs, England post huge totals and are able to defend them.
Okay, if they've got England at the moment, 2 openers that are firing on all cylinders in Jason Roy and Bairstow, then the Australian team has 2 quick bowlers that have been doing the job with the new ball. We're talking about Mitchell Starc and Behrendorff. Those are the 2 guys that are picking up a lot of wickets at the top. We all remember that previous game these 2 teams played when 9 wickets were shared between Starc and Behrendorff. Let's take a look at some of the performances there, and we're taking a closer look at Behrendorff in particular and how he's performed with the ball for Australia. Now, since he's come in, there are plenty of wickets there for the opening new ball bowlers, but one man who's really fallen off the radar since then is Pat Cummins. Now see, Pat Cummins in Cricket World Cup, first 5 matches, he picked up 11 wickets. And then in the last 4 matches, he's just picked up 2 wickets. The coincidence there is, those are I think 3 out of those 4 games is when Behrendorff was part of the playing 11. What that has done is, Brad, that ever since Behrendorff has come, he's ended up picking up a lot of wicket. But if the Australian team really needs to beat this strong English batting lineup, then you need someone like Pat Cummins to fire in the middle overs.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't worry too much about Pat Cummins. He's a superstar of Australian cricket and world cricket. He's playing his role as best he possibly can. He's not getting the new ball. He's doing roles that are marginally different to what he's been doing in the past, where he's bowling those middle overs, a little bit in the death. So when Nathan Coulter-Nile was actually in the side, he was bowling a little bit of the death, which meant Paddy could expose a little bit more of the front. He's now getting pushed to the back end. That's where his economy is probably a fraction higher than what he'd like it to be. But having said that, though, he's still a firepower. With Marcus Stoinis as well not bowling, that doesn't allow Aaron Finch to bowl Patrick Cummins a little bit more freely throughout. So hopefully Stoinis is, and Finch can use him as a real weapon to support those 2 left armers.
Right, with the news that we're getting about the pitch there, you'd really need your fast bowlers to fire because it's going to be a batting-friendly pitch. Then talking about fast bowlers, the English fast bowlers would also need to do the job, and they have been doing it up until now in the tournament, talking about the likes of Chris Woakes as well as Jofra Archer, and this is how the English pacers have performed in the World Cup so far, sharing the wickets between them. Chris Woakes has been very, very crucial for them in the tournament. If you take a look at that, in the 4 innings that he's been there bowling in the power play, he's got a economy of 3.6 and has picked up 3 wickets. So he's one man who's keeping the openers quiet as well as picking up a lot of wickets. Swanny, we're talking about the key to this game. The key to the Australian batting lineup is with the openers. We talk about Jofra Archer doing the job, but it's this man, Chris Woakes, who could do the trick for England.
Well, Chris Rokes is Mr. Consistent. He doesn't really have a bad game, and all he does with the ball is put it in the right place. The Kookaburra white ball doesn't really swing, so you need someone who really puts it on a sixpence all the time. That's what Chris Rokes has been doing. He chips in with a few useful runs, and his fielding has been outstanding as well. He's a real unsung hero of this England team.
All right, completely out of time. Final thoughts from the two gentlemen with us, Graeme Swann, Brad Hodge. Brad, with you, your predictions?
I can't go past the men in the canary yellow, especially in big games. I think they play well in this tournament, and I think they're going to go pretty close to all the way.
I think this will be a close game. You know, after all the joking and everything, Australia are a very good team. They've been playing some very good cricket. But I think England, if they play confidently, play like they have over the last couple of years, are definitely the best team in this competition. So if they turn up on the day, turn up with a big smile and plenty of confidence, they'll win this game.
Graeme Swann, Brad Hodge, thanks so much for joining us. The big semi-final coming your way, England versus Australia on Thursday. See you then.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.